Hey everybody, Adrian here, Critical Impact Group. I am driving up for a couple days of teaching at the Midwest Tactical Officers Association and wanted to talk briefly here about the idea of imminency. Just got back last week from teaching a 5-day basic police sniper class, and during that class, one of the things we talked about was hostage rescue, a very traditional and important role for the police sniper. Now, police snipers have to be a little bit more analytical about the use of deadly force than the average patrol officer or SWAT cop. And the reason I say that is because when most patrol cops or even entry cops are faced with a deadly force threat, and they're forced to use deadly force, their decision making is based, how should I say this? They are faced with threats that are very clearly imminent, if not bordering on or are immediate. Now, what's the difference between imminent and immediate? Well, quite simply put, imminent means about to happen. Okay, it is going to happen in a very short amount of time. Immediate means it's happening right at this instant, right? It's happening immediately. It's happening now. So if you think about it, right, most patrol cops, entry guys, they have a very clear deadly force threat. It's happening right now. Somebody points a gun at them. Somebody is reaching for a gun. Somebody is shooting a gun, and they respond in kind. For police snipers, however, that immediacy may not always be there. For one, police snipers very rarely are shooting to defend their own lives. If they have to do that, they've made some type of mistake. More often than not, they are firing to defend a third party. But when we look at imminency and immediacy, police snipers are often called out to a scene that's been going on for a while, right? Somebody takes a hostage, patrol responds, SWAT team gets paged out, snipers show up, set up, they're on the problem, and several hours may have elapsed since the beginning of the situation. So it's very easy to look at this and say, well, the negotiators are talking with the person. You know, the hostage taker, he might have started off grabbing this person, putting a gun up to their head and making all of these threats, and now he's calmed down and they're in the house together and he's talking to negotiators. So therefore, the threat is not imminent. I could not disagree with that more. Simply because of the passage of time does not mean that a threat is not imminent. We have to look at the criteria to determine whether it's imminent, and that's ability, opportunity, jeopardy. In my own state here in Wisconsin, we break it down a little differently. We say weapon intent delivery system, but they mean the same thing. And if we look at that situation 2 hours after the hostage taking took place, does the hostage taker still have the means to cause great bodily harm or deadly or death to the hostage? Right? They still have that deadly weapon. Okay? Yeah. Do they have the opportunity to do that? Are they still in close enough proximity to it? Again, imminently. It doesn't mean they have to be right there standing next to them with a gun up to their head, but within a matter of seconds, could they do it? Yeah. And then jeopardy, intent. Is the hostage taker still holding the hostage against their will, under threat of force, under threat of death or great bodily harm? Yes. The answer is yes. So all three of the criteria are still there. We still have the ability, we still have the opportunity, and the hostage is still in jeopardy. So if 2 or 3 hours into a hostage-taking situation, while it seems like things have settled down and maybe the threat isn't immediate, it is still imminent. And if that hostage taker walks over to the window and you have a good opportunity to neutralize them, to stop the threat to the hostage, and you don't, you pass it up, you are putting the safety of the hostage taker above the safety of the hostage. And I would argue not only is that tactically unsound, it is morally wrong. It's ethically wrong to risk the safety of a completely innocent person, a hostage, simply to avoid having to use force against a criminal, a hostage taker. So that's something that I think a lot of officers don't understand even when they're becoming police snipers. And it's a little bit of a different perspective. As I said, the snipers have to be a little bit more analytical, a little bit more detached, and able to, judge the situation a little bit more logically, a little bit more analytically, as opposed to simply just reacting based on a stimulus, which is how most police officers wind up having to use deadly force. Anyways, wanted to share that. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I think that's kind of eye-opening to some people, but give it a thought, because you never know. That could also be in a situation. Just because you're not a police sniper doesn't mean you might not wind up in that same situation yourself. Passage of time alone does not reduce the imminency of a threat to a hostage or an innocent person.